This isn't therapy, it's a reckoning for the men who've been lied to about love and the women who've been sold safety instead of truth. This is where we say the things you're not supposed to say out loud. And on record, I am author and this is Cuffed. Saying sorry was never the hard part. Most people can do that. The hard part is what comes after, and most people can't tell you what that is. Follow through on repair is not the apology. It's the conversation. It's what you do with every day that comes after both of those things. And integration, that's the question nobody asks until it's too late. Can what broke actually become part of the foundation? Or does it just sit there, undigested, waiting to surface the next time something goes wrong? I'm author, this is Cuffed, 2 musings, 20 minutes, let's get into it. These lined up perfectly in terms of musing 98, which is follow through on repair, and musing 99, which is the bookend or the capstone piece of the Architecture of Trust series. Integration is what comes after, what becomes part of you, what becomes hopefully a new foundation. So let's start with follow through on repair, because as I've worked through this, I've had some interesting thoughts and discoveries about the way I thought about repair, and I think the trap a lot of men fall into in terms of repair. So I think growing up, a lot of guys are taught super early on repair is labor plus parts equals fixed. And that works for 99% of things in the world. Something is broken, you figure out what's broke, you buy the part, you replace the part, and it's fixed. The problem becomes is that men think this applies to nearly everything. And the thing that I've unfortunately had to learn the hard way is with trust, that's not the case at all. At all. I never realized how important patterns are to women. It's sad it took losing Tabitha and going through this year-long painful journey of really learning myself to come to this realization. As I wrote, sorry is a sound. Anyone can make that sound. What's most important isn't the sound, it's the behavior that comes after the sound. It's what you do the next time the situation arises. That's what she's watching for. She doesn't give a shit about your sorry. I shouldn't say she doesn't give a shit, but I think as a man now, to me, sorry is only the starting point. That's it. That's all it is. I look at sorry as the starting line of repair. Wish I would have learned this sooner, but I often wonder how well I would have actually learned all of this. And if follow through on repair would become such a paramount issue had I learned it any other way. Because unfortunately, for the the majority of my life, I've had to learn things very much the hard way. I wish it wasn't true, but unfortunately, it is. And this has been no different as I've talked in depth in the musings in the previous podcast episodes. It really took losing Tabitha to spark all of this, to help me learn not only about myself, but to really take a step back and switch my perspective to learn what I did and how that impacted the woman I love. And I'm really proud of that. Very proud of it. And so, kind of tying this all together, I really think men fall into the trap of when something goes wrong in a relationship, we view it as, well, you say you're sorry, and that makes it better. And you move on. But as I now know, that's so far from the truth. Because that sorry means absolutely nothing to her if the next time the same situation comes up and you default right back to where you started. You do the exact same thing you did the first time. That sorry means absolute shit at that point. I think the only way that sorry can actually mean anything is if there is a meaningful change in the pattern of your behavior. And it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 times you correct it. It's every time after that. And let's be realistic. If you really love the other person, you should want to do this. You shouldn't want to hurt them. You shouldn't want them to have any doubt about your honesty, about how trustworthy you are. So these should be all things that we want to do. But like a lot of men, when everything went sideways with Tabitha, as I discussed in the previous podcast, I went through a really long dialogue about my intentions. Well, that's fine. Your intentions could have been that you didn't mean for your behavior to hurt the other person. That's all fine, and that could be true. But it still doesn't mean that you didn't hurt them. And that's where it gets into a really difficult space, because you have to be able to hold 2 truths at the same time. You have to be able to say, sure, my intentions weren't to hurt the other person, but I still hurt them. And there's no explaining of your intentions or any other thing you can say to make it better other than, I own that, I hurt you, and I understand that, and I take full responsibility for that. I'm going to do better for you, and I'm going to show you. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. And this is a good segue into the second musing of this podcast episode, which is integration. I think it's a good starting point that we discuss what integration is and what it actually looks like. And this is just from my perspective, and everyone obviously might have a little different view of it or thinking of what it actually is. But for me, integration is when something becomes a part of you. And with working through all of these arcs on cuffedmedia.com, we started with ghosting and avoidance and boundaries. Then we went into manipulation and control, and we just finished the architecture of trust. And the next arc is going to be the architecture of self. When we have worked through these, and when I mean really worked through them, for me, that's being 100% completely honest with myself. Because I've had real struggles with that. Very real struggles. But I'm to the point now where it's starting to feel yucky when I'm not honest with myself. And what I often find myself asking in those instances is, what am I about to admit to myself or say about myself that makes me not want to say it? And that's the real issue that remains, because I still find myself not wanting to admit things to myself in my head. And it's ridiculous, because I'm thinking, bro, you're talking to yourself. This is between me, myself, and I. Why can't you, or not why can't I be honest, but why does it still bring up those emotions when I'm honest with myself? But I'm glad I have moved to this point, because where I was, even up until a year ago or just before that, I didn't even want to look at this stuff. Most of the times my ego was telling me, this isn't you, this is them. You're great, man. Look at you. Keep going. Shit's good. It's gonna get better. Keep it moving. And Tabitha interrupted all of that. She was the first woman who held to her standards in a way that just shook me. In the best possible way, though. And where I'm at now, I can honestly say that I am super proud of. And the reason I bring all this up and I talk through this is because this is what integration looks like and sounds like to me. I can admit things now where, yes, they still feel gross when I admit them to myself. But that's fine. That is so much farther than where I was. And I'm starting to really like that honesty because I'm realizing that the growth is in that honesty. I can't change what I don't see and what I'm not honest about. And that's why this work to me is so important because I don't want to just become a better man or the man that the woman I am still madly in love with deserves. I want to be the better man for my children. And most importantly, I want to be a better man for myself. I want to look in the mirror and lay down at night and be proud of the way I move through the world, knowing that other people are helped or touched by the way I think and act and behave and all of those things. That's very important to me now. And especially with my children, I want them, I should say, I want them to have a great example of what an integrated man can look like. A man who, yes, has had his struggles, and as I tell them all the time, I'm very flawed, still am, but I'm trying. And nobody can fault you for trying. But I think there's something even greater than that. And it goes to the old adage of, at the end of life, people never regret the things they did. They regret the things they didn't do. And I don't want to go through life thinking, what type of man and what type of human being could I have become had I only been honest with myself and done the work? I don't want that regret ever. I don't want that regret for other people. When my mother was dying and I saw the regret she carried about the things she didn't do in life, it changed me instantly. Seeing that regret carried at the end is not something I want, and if you've never experienced it firsthand, you don't want that type of regret. That is heavy, very heavy. And that's why I'm so committed to Cuffed. Why I love the community that is forming here, and why I pour myself into this work. I'm going to end it here with this last minute because tomorrow I'm going to be publishing Musing number 100. I have wrote 100 musings and nearly 40 Red Room pieces in the past year. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm so proud of myself that I started this and I'm still doing it. I promised myself that I would do this for at least the year and take the work seriously for at least the year. And I'm doing it. I kept that promise to myself. And along the way, I have met some extraordinarily amazing people. You're probably listening to this podcast right now. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey. And I'm very proud of the growth I see in you. It really keeps me going. There's days where I might be having a bad day, and I get that DM about how people have read something I wrote and how it touched them and changed their day or their life or whatever it might be. And that's why I'm still here, and that's why I'm doing the work. Hold the standard, stay close.